Hello and welcome to Housing News at the top of the hour, coming to you from our studios in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ajibola Ojolade. Our top stories. Federal government unveils theme for Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary. Nigeria launches Abyss Academy, deepening Belgium ties in livestock sector. FG fully funds technical colleges, warn against illegal charges. And on sports, Tinubu, time for Africa to host Commonwealth Games. From the foreign scene, Trump demands probe into UN triple sabotage. Now the news in detail. The federal government has unveiled the official theme for Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary, All Hands on Deck for a Greater Nation. Officials say the theme underscores the need for unity, collaboration and patriotism from all Nigerians in government, business, civil society and communities to build lasting peace, prosperity and progress. Since independence in 1960, the nation has faced major challenges but also recorded significant economic milestone. A government says this year's celebration will align with the renewed hope agenda to consolidate those gains. Events leading up to October 1st include a Jumat prayer on September 26th, an interdenominational church service on the 28th, and a World Press Conference on September 29th. Nigeria says it is ready to modernize its livestock industry and compete on the global stage. At the National Livestock Transformation Dialogue in Abuja, Livestock Development Minister Idi Mokhtar Meha launched the new Habis Livestock Academy, calling it a hub for training, innovation. Said livestock must move beyond outdated practices, linking grazing reserves, abattoir and markets to create jobs and boost exports. Habis chairman Emmanuel Usman announced plans to expand abattoir facilities and create over 36,000 jobs, while Nassau revealed it has trained nearly 500 livestock players this year and unlocked more than 270 billion naira in sector financing. The minister also met Belgium ambassador who will announce a trade mission to Nigeria in November. Talks will focus on agriculture, cold chain system, vaccine and AI tools for cattle management. Nigeria's livestock market is valued at more than $33 trillion with over 200 million ruminants, a scale the minister says can power food security, export and innovation if backed by global partnerships. Meanwhile, the Nigeria's Livestock Minister Idi Mokhtar Meha has been honored with an honorary fellowship by the Nigerian Institute of Animal Science. The award was announced in Abuja during a courtesy visit by NIAS leader who praised the minister's 3 decades of contributions to the sector and his roles as the pioneer head of the new livestock ministry. NIAS President Chief Simeon Owofa says the fellowship will be formally conferred during the 2025 Animal Science Event and Industry Expo at a gathering of players, policymakers, industry players and farmers aimed at shaping the future of livestock production. Responding, Minister Meha expressed gratitude and reaffirmed government's commitment to transforming the livestock sector, unveiling plans for national breeding centers to boost productivity, innovation and training. The NIAS delegation also briefed the minister on preparations for the All-Africa Conference of Animal Agriculture to be hosted in Nigeria in 2026. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called on the United Nations to embrace sweeping reforms of risk sliding into irrelevance. Speaking at the 80th UN General Assembly in New York through Vice President Kazim Shettima, Tinubu criticized the UN's record on the global crisis, saying the ongoing conflict and humanitarian disaster are sustains of our collective humanity. He warned that the UN's credibility is being eroded by the gaps between its promises and its actions. Tinubu pressed for 4 reforms priorities, beginning with Nigeria's long-standing demand for a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. He said the UN can only recover relevance if it reflects the world as it is today. On the Middle East, Tinubu reaffirmed Nigeria's support for a two-state solution, insisting Palestinians are not collateral damage but human beings entitled to dignity and reform. The president also pushed for a global debt relief mechanism, calling it essential for peace and prosperity, and urged investments in Africa's critical minerals and digital inclusion. Turning to domestic reforms, Tinubu acknowledged Nigeria's economic hardship but said tough steps like subsidy removal are necessary to secure long-term growth. On security, he stressed that values and ideas, not just military might, win generational battles against extremism. According to the President, Tinubu, UN must change or risk being left behind. Nigeria is seeking re-election into Part 2 of the International Civil Aviation Organization Council. At the ICAO Assembly in Montreal, Aviation and Aerospace Development Minister Festus Keyamo called for global support, particularly for African states already endorsed by the African Union. Keyamo highlighted Nigeria's investment in aviation infrastructure, regulatory reforms, and safety oversight. The minister invited delegates to Abuja for Nigeria's first international air show in December, saying aviation should unite nations despite their geographic divides. The federal government has restated its commitment to eradicating torture and protecting human rights across detention and law enforcement facilities. At a sensitization workshop in Abuja, the Solicitor General of the Federation, Mrs. Jedi Agba, stressed the need for urgent reforms to end inhuman treatment of detainees. She reminded security agencies that torture is a criminal offense under the Anti-Torture Act of 2017, and Nigeria is also bound by international treaties, including the United Nations Convention Against Torture. A comment follows our United Nations delegation's visit in 2024, which flagged poor detention conditions and lack of cooperation by some authorities. Jodi Agba urged law enforcement agencies to embrace reforms, describing them as vanguards of change in safeguarding human rights. The federal government says technical education in Nigeria is now completely free. Education Minister Maruf Tunji Alausa announced that all federal technical colleges are fully funded, covering tuition, boarding, uniforms, textbook, ID cards, medicals, utilities, and more. He warned principals and administrators not to impose unauthorized charges on parents. The minister urged parents to report illegal demands directly through ministry hotlines and email. He therefore emphasized that no child should be denied access to technical education because of hidden fees. While tuition and core costs are covered, boarding students are expected to provide personal items like bedding, toiletries, and clothing. Government says the move is part of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, which prioritizes technical and vocational education as a pathway to jobs, skills, and national development. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says political parties can now begin campaigns for the 2026 Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections. INEC announced that campaigns officially opened on September 24th and will run until midnight of February 19, 2026, just days before voters head to the polls on February 21st. The Commission is reminding parties, candidates, and supporters that abusive languages, violence, and destruction of campaign materials are strictly prohibited under the Electoral Act. It also warned against the use of incumbency to give any part or candidate an unfair advantage. INEC says all parties must be granted equal access to public facilities for rallies, advertising, and media outreach as the countdown to election day begins. The Niger State Police Command says it has uncovered a massive theft scandal at the Kainji hydroelectric power plant, while losses estimated at 4.8 billion naira. 12 security guards with Mainstream Energy Solutions operators of the plant have been arrested. Police says the suspect worked with scrap dealers to vandalize navigation, lock gates and other equipment, cutting up metals and moving them out in trucks under the cover of night. Police says financial records shows suspicious transfer of more than 24 million naira linked to the crime. The search is now on for scrap dealers accused of being major collaborators. The Kogi state government is calling on the federal government and international partners to give greater attention to the state as floods continue to ravage communities. Officials says Kogi often receives less intervention despite being the confluence of River, Niger and Benue, leaving thousands of residents at risk. The Commissioner for Information and Communications warned that Ibadan local government, a major rice production hub, is already submerged, raising concerns about food security nationwide. The State Emergency Management Agency confirmed that 42 IDP camps have been activated across the state, with part of Lokoja and Ibaji already underwater. Authorities are urging urgent humanitarian support, warning that if Kogi is cut off, the impact will be felt across the entire country. We take a pause here. News stories from the build sector are up next. Stay with us.
Attention, housing and construction brands. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Housing TV Africa, channeled 149 on StarTimes, is your ultimate platform to shine. Whether you're a housing developer offering affordable homes, a building materials company, a mortgage bank supporting families, or a furniture, lighting, or interiors brand, bringing style into every home, we've got you covered. Our crew comes live to your site, your showroom, or your project location, capturing your products, services, and your story in action. Real coverage, real people, real impact. And now, the exciting part, all of this is available at very affordable advertising rates. Yes, with Housing TV Africa, you can promote your brand without breaking the bank, while reaching millions of home buyers, decision makers, and investors. Don't stay hidden. Be seen, be trusted, be celebrated. Housing TV Africa, your #1 housing and construction network, on channel 149 on StarTimes. Call us today on 0916 500 0000 and let's build your business in the spotlight. Housing TV Africa, affordable rates, on-site reports, maximum impact.
Welcome back. Glad to have you join us on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Now to the build sector. The Federal Ministry of Environment has issued a major flood warning. The alert released on Wednesday covers 15 states and 69 communities across the country. Officials says heavy rainfall is expected between the 24th and 28th of September, and the downpour could trigger dangerous flooding. The warning comes from the National Flood Early Warning Center, signed by Usman Abdullahi Bukani, Director of the Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zone Management Departments. Flooding remains one of Nigeria's deadliest natural disasters. Already this year, by the 20th of September, the National Emergency Management Agency confirmed 232 deaths. More than 121,000 people have been displaced, and over 339,000 residents have been affected nationwide. The ministry has now listed high-risk locations, among them Adamawa, Bayelsa, Delta, Zamfara. Other states on the list include Anambra, Borno, Edo, Imo, Kano, Katsina, Ondo, Oyo, Rivers, Sokoto, and Taraba respectively. Authorities are urging residents in all affected areas to stay alert, clear drainage system, and repair emergency shelters. The Ogun State government has filed land-grabbing charges against two traditional rulers. They are the Onijoko of Ijoko Ota, Oba Fatai Matomi, and the Olu of Orile Igbo Igbesa, or Oba Yusuf Olasukomi. According to the Attorney General, Oluwashina Ogungbade, the charges border on forceful land takeover and unlawful entry. In one case, Obamatomi is accused of selling land decades ago, then harassing the new owner after payment. Court documents alleged he collected 5 million naira from complainants but continued the harassment. Similarly, Obalasukomi is accused of using intermediaries to seize land well outside the area covered by a judgment, displacing legitimate occupants. The two monarchs are set to face trial without Obalasukomi's arraignment fixed for Thursday, September 25, 2025. And now on sport, President Bola Tinubu has declared that the time has come for Nigeria and indeed the African continent to realize its Commonwealth dreams. The statement came as Nigeria made an advanced presentation in London to boost its bid to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games. If successful, it will be the first time Africa hosts the Games in 100 years. Nigeria lost its 2014 bid to Glasgow, but Tinubu believes the country now has a stronger case to host the centenary edition in Abuja. And still on sport, Eberechi Eze scored his first goal for Arsenal as they beat League One side Port Vale to reach the Carabao Cup first round. The forward, who joined the Gunners in a deal worth £60 million last month, opened the scoring in the 8th minute when he slotted in from Gabriel Martinelli's pass. It was his first goal in his 6th appearance for the club, and he could have had a second just before the break when he was slipped through Michael Merino, but he was denied by Port Vale goalkeeper Joe Goshi. The hosts, who were promoted to League One at the end of last season, battled well against their Premier League opponents and caused them issues at times from set pieces. While the game remained 1-0, they always had a chance of getting a leveler, and that almost came with 15 minutes to go when substitute Devante Cole curled a shot from distance just over. And now on foreign scene, Donald Trump has demanded an investigation into what he called a triple sabotage during his visit to the United Nations General Assembly on Wednesday. In a post on social media, the U.S. president referred to an escalator abruptly stopping as he and First Lady Melania Trump stepped on, a teleprompter malfunctioned during his speech, and an audio issue in the auditorium. A UN official said the sound system was designed to allow people to hear translated speeches through earpieces. The UN previously said a safety mechanism might have been triggered by Trump's videographer, who had been traveling back up while the teleprompter belonged to the US delegation. Trump criticized the incident on Truth social media and said he was sending a letter to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres demanding an immediate probe. Colombian President Gustavo Petro told journalists in an interview that U.S. airstrike on alleged trafficking boats in the Caribbean Sea are an act of tyranny. He also called for criminal proceedings if investigations find Colombians were killed in the attacks. President Donald Trump has cast the strike, says he reportedly killed 17 since they began this month as needed to stop the flow of the fentanyl and other illegal narcotics into the U.S. Legal experts and lawmakers, though, have questioned if they violate international human rights law. And last on foreign scene, a Paris court is set to deliver its verdict Thursday in the corruption trial of former French President Nicolas Sarkozy. Prosecutors are seeking a 7-year prison sentence, accusing Sarkozy of accepting millions of illegal campaign funding from late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi ahead of the 2007 elections. Sarkozy denies the charges. Meanwhile, the case took a dramatic twist this week with the sudden death of key accuser Zaid Tekindin in Beirut. The 70-year-old ex-president, already convicted in 2 separate cases, is expected in court for the ruling. 11 others, including top aides from his presidency, are also on trial. Sarkozy insists he will fight to the end to prove his innocence even if convicted, and he is likely to appeal and may avoid immediate jail time. And that's the much we can take on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Federal government unveils theme for Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary. Nigeria launches Abyss Academy, deepens Belgium ties in livestock sector. Federal government fully funds technical colleges, runs against illegal charges. And on sports, notable time for Africa to host Commonwealth Games. And from the foreign scene, Trump demands probe into UN triple sabotage. For more news in the housing sector, subscribe to the Housing TV Africa on YouTube and follow Housing TV on all social media platforms. Download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. I am Ajibola Ojelade. Bye for now.